Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Ross. This is part 2 of converting ISO datetime values to an actual Access datetime value. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, go watch part 1 and then come on back. All right, we left off yesterday by getting our table set up. We got our query started. We got the year, month, and day split off. And now we've got the date part of this guy here, right, with the DateSerial. Well, now we're going to do the same thing with the time values. All right, we can still use the mid function to pull out the hours, minutes, and seconds. And then just like there's DateSerial, there's also a TimeSerial function that does pretty much the same thing. You give it the hour, the minute, the second, and it builds a time for you. Well, isn't that nifty? Let's come in here, design view. Yes, I said nifty. This will be basically the same thing. I'm going to shrink this up just a little bit more so we got a little bit more room in here. All right, so this is going to be the hour, which is the mid D, 12, 2, if I did my numbers right. The minute will make MI is mid D, 15, 2. And the seconds, SE, is going to be mid D, 18, 2. Let's see if I got that right. And that looks about right. Notice these first ones don't have any times on them. They're all zeros. And these guys look like, 220904. Okay, so we're good with that so far. Now, we can likewise build the time value with the TimeSerial function, right? And while we're at it, let's save this query. I'll call it my ISOQ. Forgot to save it last time. I'm going to shrink these all up down here so I got some more space. Just like in Excel, you can select them all and then resize like that, and it shrinks them all down to that same size. All right, just like we got new date over here, let's make a new time. So new time is going to be, I'm going to zoom in so you can see it, Shift F2. It's going to be TimeSerial, hour, minute, second, just like that. The TimeSerial. I don't have a separate Tech Help video for TimeSerial. It's on my list. I haven't made one yet. I cover it in my Access Expert classes, though. I cover all the functions in it, like all of them. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But let's make sure that's working now. And, okay, there's the time. That's the time portion of this. Right? Oh, sorry, right here, this. Right? 2294 is 10, because it's PM now. Right? 2200 hours is 10 PM. 0904. All right. Now, if you want to put this and this together into one thing, what do? There is no date TimeSerial function. Well, remember, in Access, a day, right? A day equals 1 if you do the date math. I got a whole video on date math in Access. It's very good. Go watch it. I'll put a link down below. All right, this guy here. So in Access, 1 day equals 1, right? A week is 7, okay? Hours, minutes, and seconds are fractions of a day. So an hour is 1/20th of a day, and so on. So if you want to add this to that, you literally just add them together to get a new value. So in my query, right here, we'll call it new date. Actually, let's make it smaller. Let's call it ACC date or ACC date time, whatever you want to call it. We'll just call it ACC date. Okay? This is literally going to be new date plus new time. Just add the time value onto the date value. And that should give you this. See that? Ah, look at that. It's one date time value. Now, if that's all you want, great. If all of your values, like all of his values, all had zeros up in here. Well, let's go ahead and change some of these. Let's say this one here is in the Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to go minus 500. Okay? All right, if one of these comes from, let's say, Pacific Time, you'd be minus 8. So minus, and then 800. That. Okay? And believe it or not, there are some time zones that are 30 minutes back or forth. So let's do one of these as plus, let me see, I had to look this up. Indian Standard Time is plus 5 hours, 30 minutes. So it'd be plus 5:30 in Indian Standard Time. Okay, so plus or minus GMT. So now we have to look at that as well. We got to pull more stuff out of the data. So there's actually 3 bits of information I want to extract. First is that plus or minus. Okay, so we know if it's adding or subtracting from the time. Then we need the hour, the time zone hour, and the time zone minutes. Okay, so again, 3 more fields right down here, design view. Let me again shrink this stuff up. There Okay. And yes, you can run out of fields going this way. If that's the case, you can always insert new ones. But yeah, sometimes I got really long queries and they run off the end over there. All right, so back here. So next we need the time zone. Let's call it the TZPM. It's the time zone plus or minus. And that's going to be mid D, 20, 1. All right, that's going to be that guy. It's the plus or minus. Okay. And then the hours, the TZH, is mid D, 21, 2. And then the TZ minutes, TZM, you could use mid or you can use right. I'll just use right of D, 2. If you're sure there's nothing else on the end here, like a Z for Zulu or whatever, any of that stuff. Okay? All right, run it. So now we've got our time zone information right there. Okay. Now, right now, since we extracted these out of text, just like these ones, okay, these are string values. I'm going to convert these over to long integers. Now, I didn't bother converting these because I knew we were going to be using them inside of TimeSerial and DateSerial, so we didn't really have to. The function took care of converting that. But these I want to convert manually. So design view. And right inside of here, I'll just zoom in so you can see it, we're just going to put in here CLNG. Normally, I break this stuff into multiple steps, but that's an easy one, right? Here's where we do the mid extraction, and then we're just going to take that text string value and convert it to a long integer so that we can add it to the actual time value. We'll do the same thing with the minute, CLNG. So now we got numbers. And the key to telling that they're numbers is they'll now line up on the right side of the cell. See that? Now you know they're numbers, okay? And we lost our leading zeros, which is fine. That's okay. I just need to know how many whole hours that is. Now, we can date add this value and this value to our access date value to adjust it for the time zone, right? This one here, we will subtract 5 hours from that to get the actual value. Now, I could do 2 date adds, or I could just do 1 if I just convert this to minutes, right? Add the 2 of them together, and then we'll have 1 value to do a single date add with. So I'm going to take this guy, multiply it by 60 to convert it to minutes, and then just add it to this one. And we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone on this one too. Well, yeah, we'll make it another field. All right, total TZM is going to be TZH times 60 in parentheses. Well, we really don't need the parentheses because of order operations, but then we're going to add TZM. I know order of operations says you don't need those parentheses, but I feel like it makes it more readable. And that's the whole point of math. I know you see all these things on like social media, like trying to trick people that don't know BECME, you know, or not BECME, the, PEMDAS, BODMAS. BECME, it's a D&D term, BECME. Why was I thinking of that? But you know, the parentheses, exponents, all that's order of operations, right? Multiplication goes first. So you would only really need these parentheses if that was an addition. But I think it makes it more readable. So anyways, let's take a look at what we got now. All right, there we go. So 5 whole hours is 300 minutes, right? 8 whole hours is 480 minutes. And this guy is 330 minutes. Great. Now I got the value that I can either add or subtract to this. And how do I know whether I'm adding or subtracting? Well, it's this guy, right? This guy determines whether or not we multiply or we subtract or add. So I'll use an if function, if, right? And yes, I say it goofy like that so you remember it. It's if, with a bunch of I's in front of it. If, not if. You know how many times people post questions in the forums or send me an email with their code and it's IFF. No, it's IIF, immediate if. All right? And so I say it like that's stupid in the video so you remember it. So you're not like me pulling your hair out because you type it in the wrong way 5,000 times. And I'm just as guilty. All right, so here at the end, all right, one more calculation here. We'll call this total TZM2. It's going to be if the TZPM, that plus minus field, this little guy over here, right? If that equals a minus sign inside of quotes, right? If that's a minus sign, then we're subtracting. So the value is going to be total TZM times -1, or it'll be total TZM. right? If we're subtracting, make this a negative number. If we're adding, leave it as it is. And now we get this. This is -5, so we're subtracting 300 minutes. This is plus 530, so we're adding 330 minutes. And now it's simply a matter of adding these minutes to that date with the DateAdd function. So one more thing, and then we're pretty much done. Let's see what we got here. Last one. All right, so let's call it my UTC date time is going to be DateAdd. What are we adding? We're adding minutes, which is N. Remember that. It's another sticking point for a lot of people. With DateAdd and DateDiff and all that, N is minutes because M is months. N, how many minutes are we adding? It's total TZM2. What date are we adding it to? And I forgot because I can't see it. So, and what I do in this, I got to scroll to the left here to see it, and it's not in my notes. So I got what I'm going to do here is just put an X in there because I don't want to lose all this. Or you can copy it to the clipboard. All right, and then I got to scroll back to the left just to see what that is. Okay, it's ACC date. There it is. I'm embarrassed, but I do that all the time with these really long queries sometimes. All right, so we'll put ACC date in there. So we're adding minutes. How many minutes? That many minutes, which is this guy, to that value. And now our final value should be right there. All right, so this guy here, let's see. We started off on November 29th at midnight, and we had to go back 5 hours. So we're November 28th at 7 p.m. Okay? Same thing down here. We got October 30th at 6:30 p.m. And so we had to go an hour forward to October 31st, just after midnight. Looks good. And of course, at this point, I should mention that if these were times that were taken and the person was in that time zone and you want to convert it to universal time, to Greenwich time, then instead of subtracting, you'll add. Right? You'll just reverse that. So it's all based on however you want the data to go. Right? Are you converting to UTC or are you converting from UTC to that time zone? So either add or subtract, whatever you got to do. All right, so now you got this UTC date time value here in this query. What if you want to get it back in the table? Right? What if you got, you want to put that date in here in another field and then not have to use the query every time, and then you can just delete this data, right? Especially if you're importing it, right? You import it once and then you just copy it over. Well, you can use an update query to do that, and I'll walk through that in the extended cut for the members. It's not hard. Little update query. I got videos on my website for using update queries, but I'll walk you through it in the extended cut. And we're also going to create a VBA function. This is nice and all, right? But sometimes you might just have a date that you got maybe on a form or a report, and you want to just convert one date using a function. So we'll make a little global function you can just use and call it whenever you want. Okay? That's all in the extended cut for the members. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut videos. And there's lots of them, folks. There's hundreds of them. And I mentioned earlier in my expert classes, I cover all of the functions in Access. All the string functions, the logical functions, the math functions, the type conversion functions. I got a whole comprehensive guide. There's the date time functions. There's, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff. What do we got here? There's, trig functions, aggregate functions. You name it. It all starts in Access Expert Level 25. I forget how many there are. There's tons of them here. Financial functions. We do a loan calculator. There's, I think that's the end of it. Yeah, then we get into charting and stuff. So Access Expert 25, I'll put a link to that down below. And that's going to do it for your Tech Help video for today. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time. And members, I'll see you in the extended cut. And I'll be waiting for you in the parking lot to give me Mr. Gilmore's jacket. Okay, bye. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have below. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. Click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Want to learn more? Click the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. YouTube does a pretty good job of hiding it. It's right down there. See this part of the description here, right? The name, the video's up here. There's a little Show More down there, right down the bottom. It's kind of hard to find. But once you click on that, you'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. And YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted like they used to do. But if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. And you can pick how frequently to get emails from me, either as they happen, daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel and receive all kinds of awesome perks, click on the Join button. You'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks, including my extended cut videos, access to my code vault, lots of VBA source code in there, template downloads, and lots more. I'll talk more about these perks at the end of the video. Even if you don't want to commit to becoming a paid member and you'd like to help support my work, please feel free to click on the tip jar link. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got some puppies to feed. But don't worry, no matter what, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you really want to learn Access and you haven't tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, and more. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? The whole thing, free, 4 hours. Go watch it. And okay, a lot of you have told me that you don't have time to sit through a 4-hour course. So I do now have a quicker Microsoft Access for Beginners video that covers all the basics faster in about 30 minutes. And no, I didn't just put the video on fast forward. But I'll put a link to this down below as well. Now, if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it, $1. And that's another whole 90-minute course. Level 2 is also free for paid members of any level, including supporters. So if you're a member, go watch level 2. It's free. Okay, want to get your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page and send me your question there. Members get priority, of course. While I do try to read and respond to all of the comments posted below in the comments section, I only have time to go through them briefly a couple of times a month, and sometimes I get thousands of them. So send me your question here on the Tech Help page, and you'll have a better chance of getting it answered. And while you're on my website, be sure to stop by my Access forum. We've got lots of lively conversations about Microsoft Access and other topics. I have a fantastic group of moderators who help me answer questions. Shout out to Alex, Kevin, Scott, Adam, John, Dan, Juan, and everybody else who helps out on the site. I appreciate everything you do. I couldn't do it without you. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but I don't like Facebook. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk more about those member perks if you do decide to join as a paid member. There are different levels: Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut Tech Help videos, one free beginner class every month, and some other perks. Gold members get all the previous perks, plus access to download the sample databases that I build in my Tech Help videos, plus access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use, the code that I build in most of the videos. You'll also get higher priority if you do submit any Tech Help questions. Now, answers are never guaranteed, but you do go higher in the list for me to read them. And if I like your question, you got a good chance of it being answered. You'll also get one free expert level class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus even higher priority for Tech Help questions. You get access to all of my full beginner level courses for every subject. And I cover lots of different subjects like Word, Excel, VBA, ASP, lots of different stuff, not just Access. These are the full-length courses found on my website. You get all the beginner ones. In addition, once you finish the expert classes, you get one free developer class per month. So lots of training. And finally, you can also become a Diamond sponsor. You'll have your name or your company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown on each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you again soon.